want to talk to you about crate training, okay? Crate training is the way that most vets and trainers will recommend that you potty train a puppy now. So what you're going to do is when you bring a puppy home, for the first, let's say 2 months to, up to a year, it could be, you're going to use a kennel, okay? Now, the kennel is a wire kennel. It has a slide out tray that you can take out to clean if there's any accidents. But it has this thing in there that'll be in the box. It's a divider, and in case you don't know what that's for, what you're going to want to do is make a space that's just big enough for the dog to go in, stand up, turn around, and lay down. It's not a lot of space. You might feel bad about it, but that's the way that you're supposed to do it. The problem with having too much space is that the puppy will go over here and pee, and then it'll go over here and lay down, and there's no reason for him not to pee in the cage because he doesn't have to deal with the problem. If you give him this much space, the puppy is smart enough to realize, if I pee here, I'm gonna have to sit in it. And they might not realize it the first time, but they will after they do it once or twice. So you might have to do an extra couple baths the first, couple weeks, but the puppy learns real quick, I don't want to make a mess in this cage because I'm gonna have to sit in here. So for the first, especially the first couple months, you're gonna keep the puppy in the cage anytime that you aren't directly playing with it or watching it or taking it outside. So it's going to be in the cage quite a bit. Now you need to think of it as kind of like you would put an infant in a crib or a pack and play, anything like that. You wouldn't let an infant crawl around and just get into everything. So with a puppy, you need to keep them in here contained, and then when you have the time to sit down and play with the puppy, train it, whatever, you will take the puppy out and play with it and then put it back when you're done. So it's going to be in the cage quite a bit for the first couple months, and you're going to feel bad about it. However, it's the right thing to do. It's the right way to train a puppy so that they learn what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. So some of the other reasons that you need to keep the puppy in the cage is, a big part of it is for the puppy's safety. You wouldn't let just an infant walk around or crawl around and get into things, like cords and whatever. Puppies chew on everything. Anything they can get in their mouth, they will get in their mouth. So you have to be careful of cords, little sharp things that you leave on the ground. Food, like chocolate, you've heard that. Chocolate can kill dogs. So you have to basically baby-proof your house for a puppy. So keeping them in here helps to do that, so it won't get into things when you're not around to watch it. If you want to have the puppy out more, but you can't have one-on-one time with the puppy, but you feel bad about leaving him in the cage, another thing you could do would be to put, say, a collar or a harness on it and then attach a leash, and then just attach the leash to your hip or something so that the puppy is just right around you, so it's not off in the other room getting into whatever. And then you can, do whatever you need to do, but also be with the puppy. So that's another option. Okay, let's talk about while they're in the cage, what needs to happen. We have these clip-on bowls here, but you could just use a regular bowl, whatever. The dog needs to have access to water all day long. So, you keep a bowl of water in your kitchen or wherever, but they also need to have it in their cage. We recommend too, for kennel training purposes, that you feed the dog in the cage. So the way that you do that is you feed the dog, you wait about 20 minutes, seems to be about the right time, and then you open the cage door, you take the puppy out, carry it all the way outside, and put it down. The reason you want to do this is if you just open the door and let them go, they've been holding it because they've learned not to go to the bathroom in here, and they're going to pee as soon as they can. So if you pick the dog up and you carry it outside, the likelihood of it peeing where you want it to pee is much greater. Puppies, you will learn, are all about repetition. Once they do one thing, they'll probably do it again and again and again. So if you can get them doing a habit that you like or you approve of, you'll have a much better time with that dog, training wise. So another thing we want to talk about is while the dog is in the cage, we want to give it something to do so it's not bored. So there are certain toys you are going to want to put in the cage and certain toys you definitely do not want to put in the cage. Things that are okay to put in the cage would be very hard things, such as this. It's a really hard rubber, Nylabone. Kong makes a lot of good stuff. It's a really hard plastic. They're hollow in the middle, and they sell things like this that you spray into it. You can freeze this if you want, and it'll last all day. You can put peanut butter in there. There's a lot of different options they sell for stuff like this, but any of these kind of toys would be totally fine to keep in the cage all day, and the puppy could chew on it and you're not going to have a problem. Things that you don't want to put in there, stuff like this, toys like this. It's important for dogs to have these kind of toys because it's, you know, they're babies. They have a tactile thing with their mouth and they want to put everything in their mouth. So if you have every different kind of thing, they're much less likely to chew on your $100 leather shoes, you know what I mean? So a puppy likes to chew on this kind of thing and this kind of thing. However, if they're in there for 8 hours with this, they're gonna rip a piece off, you know what I mean? They're gonna get this down their throat and you might have a problem. So you wanna stay away from stuff like that. Only give them things that they can't destroy. So these are supervised toys. These are while you're with them. These can be supervised but don't necessarily have to be. When you buy a puppy from us, you get access to the Good Dog Helpline through AKC, and you can call and talk to a trainer 7 days a week about any kind of training issues that you have, and they can steer you in better ways to train and things like that. Or another option would be to just come into our store. You can see more puppies while you're there, but you can also talk to our staff and they will have good tips to be able to help you be more successful. So come into our stores, check us out and our puppies. And if you have any other questions, you can check our website at thefamilypuppy.com.